All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people just like you right there and just like me here. So, I've had a few people send me messages with regard to certain people that they think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And on that list, repeatedly, are the Monkees. And yes, I am 100% in support of the Monkees being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What's tragic is only Mickey Dolenz is left. So if they were inducted, he'd be the only Monkee in attendance. Now, something happened in 1967, which has yet to happen again. The Monkees had four number one albums in 1967. It's a record, I believe, that still stands to this day. This, according to Billboard magazine, the Beatles and Elvis came close, but this is a record that now stands after 58 years. Of course, people are going to say, well, it's a prefabricated band, Dave. They weren't even playing their own instruments when things got rolling. But as time went on, they got more and more control. Some would say that was their demise because the producers and the songwriters who were helping them were pushed aside and they were taking more control, which led to their downfall. But whatever. I mean, with the time that they spent doing what they did and the longevity of this music, and of course, the television show, this was a cultural tsunami. All right. And I can't think of anything that really comes close to what they accomplished. Now, back in 67, they were on top as their first album, The Monkees, spent 8 weeks at number one at the end of 1966. All right. Then the Monkees spent the first 5 weeks of 1967 in the top spot until it was replaced or supplanted by more of the Monkees, which was, I think, released in February of that year. And that album spent 18 weeks, consecutive weeks, on the top of the charts. Their third album, Headquarters, grabbed a week at number one in June before spending the next 11 weeks at number two behind Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The Monkees again returned to the top of the charts in December with my favorite Monkees album, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Limited, which spent the last 5 weeks of the year at number one. I mean, this is unimaginable today. And the fact that the band had, yes, great songwriters, they had great production. These songs hold up well, even though some would consider them cheesy or too pop or whatever complaint you have, right? And I get it. You know, this was a hard day's night for the little screen, and it was really good. It was funny. And these four guys were super talented. All right. Let's not minimize Michael Nesmith, right? Peter Tork. And these guys were true musicians. And Davy Jones, of course, acting and theater and a pretty decent singer and a pretty decent frontman and beloved by the ladies. Okay. I'm just saying. And Mickey Dolenz, who sung lead on many of the bigger songs, but has really stood the test of time, vocally speaking. Even today, Mickey Dolenz can still bring it, and he's the only Monkee still standing, at least above ground. So, you know, this is a tough one for the critics who probably are running around saying, well, it wasn't a real rock band, and they became a rock band. I mean, Mickey Dolenz has a strange way of describing it, like saying that Leonard Nimoy, really became a Vulcan or something to that effect. I don't know how he actually describes it, but I've heard him make this analogy. And look, as it's kind of like, something that evolved and nobody could have predicted how much it evolved. And musically speaking, you had all of these great songwriters, Neil Diamond and Goffin and King and Boyce and Hart and others. I think Neil Sedaka may have written for the Monkees. But then you've got Michael Nesmith writing really great music. And then you have the band getting together and producing and making these records, especially later on. There was a chemistry there. There was a talent that these four guys exhibited that, quite honestly, few bands can capture, even for a short period of time. And what broke them up, essentially, was the fact that their music wasn't being promoted the way it was when you had all the producers behind it. And so they're like, okay, you're not going to do it our way, so we're going to kind of, take our thumb off the scale. And I think if they had kept their thumb on the scale, I bet you the Monkees would have been successful for years, well into the 70s, and who knows for how long. But of course, they made comebacks throughout the years. They made music in the 80s, and then Nesmith joined up with them again. And even toward the end, Nesmith was totally on board. They put an album out a few years ago, which was really great. And a lot of people were, again, excited about the Monkees making yet another comeback. It's just good music. It makes you feel good. The people who are behind it had good intentions. Yes, they wanted to make a lot of money, but they wanted to bring the magic of A Hard Day's Night to the small screen, and they achieved that. And it's just a great band. It's just great music. I don't know what's so complicated about this. And yeah, they deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The cultural impact of their music and the television show, okay, has rippled out globally for decades now. And why ignore that? It's just like this elephant in the room. Hey, we're the Monkees. Here we are. What are you going to do about us? Well, I guess we're not going to do anything. I mean, the Hall of Fame is a failed institution. I'm just going to start saying it like this because it's a failure. Okay, it's failing every single year they put nominees forward, and there are a couple of good ones. They throw a bone to the people who are just scratching their heads every year, going, "Really? That's the list this year? Okay, let me find two or three good ones." This year was slightly better than last year, I think, but overall, the stuff that you haven't put in there yet, it's just screaming at you. I mean, these bands and these artists who were not prefabricated. You can complain about the Monkees all you want, but how do you complain about like Jim Croce or Dan Fogelberg or America or just so many? I mean, Bryan Adams, Phil Collins. I mean, these are just glaring, ridiculous omissions. I go back to Steppenwolf, if you want to go back to the 60s. Steppenwolf, who influenced all of these hard rock bands afterwards, they're not in the Hall of Fame. And something's up with that. I mean, it's a head scratcher. I mean, they were even culturally in line politically and all of that stuff. Yes, they're a Canadian band. I'm thinking maybe that's the issue, but I just don't know. I'm perplexed by all that. I mean, Bryan Adams is Canadian and he's not in there. So I don't know. There's this Canadian bias. Triumph, I don't think has ever been considered. Loverboy hasn't been considered. So they're a little shallow on the north of the border nominations. And I know things are going a little haywire up in Canada, but that has nothing to do with what is being omitted. The Monkees were an American institution and beloved by so many people. And even if you're not really into their music, you're not offended by the Monkees. The Monkees don't make you feel angry. I mean, the Monkees were all about good times and memories and nostalgia. So, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You got to do something with the Monkees, man. Do it before we don't have Mickey anymore. Do it so he can see this and enjoy it and accept for his beloved bandmates who he obviously cared greatly about. Davey was the first one to leave us, and what was it, Davey, then Peter, then Michael, and now we only have Mickey. And I'll tell you what, the Monkees were the ultimate babysitter for a kid who is 8 or 9 years old watching Channel 56 in Boston. The Banana Splits and the Monkees and all of these Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And I mean, just great memories, great childhood memories, and great music. I mean, what else can you say? So put them in there, guys. The Monkees deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And I've had, again, a lot of people sending me messages going, it's just stupid. They're not a guilty pleasure. They're just a pleasure. Just enjoy the Monkees. They're a great band and fun to listen to and a great television show. That's it. Done.